Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is John Chen from Tech Science Press, and you're Arda? Arda.
Okay, my name is Arda. I'm from Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Indonesia.
So, this afternoon, my topic is about integrity issues in the AI era. So mainly, I was about to talk about the fighting against the paper mills because I shared the same topic at the other event. So I guess most of you guys are my colleagues and from either libraries or publishers, and all of you are interested in paper mills because paper mills are a form or a companies that are our enemies, and they jeopardize the ecosystem of the scholarly publishing. And we don't know how to deal with them because they are making deals with the authors, and they are making authors to submit papers more easily, and they're doing the money, the business with them, and to make the research even harder to believe. So it causes the trust issues. So how to deal with paper mills? We have, before the AI era, we have a lot of methods and policies. We have the software to identify the plagiarism and the similarity things, trying to avoid as much as possible of the paper mills. And all of a sudden, I remember that in the years of 2023, I think that's the time when the ChatGPT firstly launched, and I was a little surprised about that moment because I don't know how much AI can do in our lives. So I was enjoy fighting with AI every day because I'm trying to teach the AI about my knowledge, and eventually I found that the AI is a lot more smarter than I am. So I didn't realize that how AI can shape the ecosystem of scholarly publishing industry back at that time. But right now, we get more and more issues we found from our submission system. So I would like to share a few data from our system. First of all, we have our own tool to detect the AI. We found averagely 60% AI alert based on the 20,000 paper submissions each year from our system. So this is only in average. I picked probably a small number percentage. There are a little bit more in some other disciplinaries, and it would reach up to 80% of AI. And also, we found that 45% are generative AI, which means the authors are using generative AIs to fabricate the materials in their paper. So this is a serious integrity issue we found. And also, we also have paper mills tools to detect the paper mill papers. So we found 23% paper mill red alert. So this number is quite similar with this Clear Skies result. So based on our paper submission numbers. So these are not edge cases, and I think it would become a very normal in nowadays in probably all publishers. We are dealing with the same situation. So what I'm trying to say is that how many of you find the numbers are related to paper mills. There's not relevant, which means the AI usage and the paper mills are irrelevant. So that means a kind of a trend I found in the AI era. So we have right now two issues, right? So paper mill infiltration and the generative AI-enabled fabrication. So now it's kind of a blending. It's a mix. So everybody can have a generative AI fabrication. So what are we facing today is that it's very, very tricky. Paper mills, I don't know. I believe that you guys, maybe none of your guys have ever talked to any paper mill peoples. And as far as I know, paper mills nowadays, they try not to use AI tool. They use humans to write papers. They still use the old-fashioned way, which is the ghostwriters, to write papers. And some of the paper mill companies, they changed from a paper mills to a small publisher. So this is a kind of the business transition. So I don't know how they did it, but some of them are doing it right now. And a lot of paper mills with the ability to write good papers, they're now recruiting scholars, the real scholars, not ghostwriter anymore, the real scholars or scholars group or research group to write papers for them. So those papers are directly from the research laboratory in a university or institution, and all the data are real or are authentic. And every experimental methods are reasonable, but only the authorship, they're selling the authorship to the other authors. Some of the time, they will sell the first author or call first authors. Sometimes they will sell the first author and the corresponding author. So this is the way they're doing it. And they're not dealing with the infiltration anymore. So in the old days, they will buy some of the guys from inside of the editorial office. Say Arda is a editor, so I'm the paper mills. I will pay Arda to to let loose of some of the papers I submitted. So Arda will get the benefits, and I will get the paper published, and the authors are happy too. But nowadays, they don't do that anymore because a lot of publishers are kind of, they have a prevention on this. And we know that once the issues occurred in our own journal, so the journal get delisted, and it's not worth doing it only for some small benefits. So now they don't do infiltration anymore. They use real research. They use real data to generate good papers and to submit it to some high-ranked journals. So, but generative AI is using by almost every scholars right now. They're not only paper mills. So now we're dealing all scholars. So more likely students, young scholars, are using generative AI, will causing the integrity issues in our submissions. So we're not dealing with paper mills anymore. Paper mills are switching. Paper mills are using the real research, but the normal authors are using AI to generate fake stuff. So, but this is a little bit hard and challenging for us to identify, because the new trend is the model is more concealed, and also the most of the studies they've been submitted are mediocre studies, like the sound science, but compliant. So we cannot say no to those papers because they seems all right. Not all studies are brilliant. There's always like the ordinary studies, and it seems okay with the good results, with the good conclusion, with the good experimental designs, and the good methods. We will publish them. We don't see the obvious evidence that that shows the paper has issues or concerns. We will publish them. They will pass the peer review. So I will put a lot of concern on this point, because some journals with a high impact factor and some journals without impact factor. Some journals with a low impact factor. There's always a huge amount of journals are publishing the mediocre sciences for younger and scholars, or some scholars at their early career. So when those scholars are using AI, it will be more efficient. So use like the paper mills, they write a paper, it costs a month for one paper. But right now, the author can write like maybe 10 papers a day using AI. And who is going to take the responsibility? I believe right now it's the publisher is the first one to take the responsibility, because they're published under the publisher's name. But the responsibility, the authors will behind the publisher. So we have the more diffuse responsibility right now. So I believe this is more dangerous than before, because we were dealing with misconduct before. Now we have a crisis of trust. I don't know, for example, for my journal, when the author upload the paper, so like everybody is using AI. I'm using AI too, so it's inevitable. So when I put this article into the tool to detect the AI, I don't know what the result is going to come out. What if the AI tool tell me that this paper has 80% generative AI? What would I do? Would I reject this paper? Or would I just recheck this paper? Or I don't know how this author is going to use AI to do with this paper. Maybe he's only using AI to polish the language. Maybe he's only using AI to do some organization. So the ideas are still from the author, from the human intelligence sometimes. But we don't know that. We don't know if these papers are from the author's idea or the GPT's idea. So we don't trust the author anymore, and we don't trust the AI too. So I think these nowadays we having issues of trust. And so I was talking about also talking about the responsibility, and we have the trustworthiness of authors, and also the trustworthiness of published content. Like the readers, we are publishers, and we deliver the research results, and we are trying to show the readers how nowadays how those scholars are doing their research in their field. But if there's a crisis of trust, and people don't trust the content anymore, who is going to trust the content of the published content? So who is going to put the trust on that? So my solution is we have to embrace AI. AI is a tool. So human beings are using AI to generate fake stuff. And we can use AI to protect ourselves and to prevent the integrity issues to happen. So a few days ago, when I watched the Harry Potter movie, when the Harry Potters are fighting the Voldemort, and I found these pictures are really interesting. It's just like the situation we're having right now. So we have to fight magic with magic, right? So so we have to use the tool, the right tool, to do that as a firewall. So we'll trade the AI, fake stuff. I don't have any problem with the AI because I think AI is a good tool. But only the bad behaviors are the viruses. We have to build a firewall to fight against those viruses. So I'm having a critical questions. Do we need an AI rate? So like before, we have the similarity rate. So every publisher has their own like the threshold. Like for example, if the rate is over 20%, we're asking the authors to change that, right? But right now we have the AI tool. I believe there's a lot of tools in the market and you can use to detect the AI. And if the AI rate is over 70% or 80%, or what you're gonna do? So I believe 90% of like the 60% of the papers of my submission, from my submission, with the AI usage. And yesterday, when in the poster session, the Inago friend, he shared the data with me, and he found that in the East Asia area, the AI rate in the student papers are 90%. So I think sooner or later, there will be 100% AI rate. 90. Yeah, 90 in students. So that is very impressive. So I think no sooner or later it will be 100%. So the generative AI rate, should we have a threshold for that? Like how much of the AI rate could we tolerate as a publisher? So we're rethinking the research integrity in the AI era, right? So we need to transparent. We need the transparency to do that. We need to authors to disclose the AI use of their paper. It's mandatory, but I know there's a lot of authors were not willing to do that. But as a policy, we have to write it in our policy. And accountability, as a publisher, we can't do anything about it. If we found the authors with AI with the bad behavior, the most things we can do is to reject this paper. But as an institution, maybe the institution can do something about it. The authors should take some of the responsibilities for the bad behavior. And also traceability, it's another thing. Traceability we can do with the tours together. So we can have a very complete workflow. We check the paper before it enters the peer review session. And after the peer review, we check it again. Because authors may change things, change something in their content or in their authorship when they do revisions. So, and after before after the production on the final stage, we will do it again. We will do the checking again, just to prevent if the authors are changing things during the proving session. So we're using the tool and we're tracing all the workflow. And also, I think there's one missing part is the education. We still need the education to do that, to educate the authors, not to tell them what you can do and what you cannot do. So, okay, so this is my part. And paper mills, I can only talk about so much. Yes.
What's the rate in your company?
In my company? We don't have the rate right now. So AI, I can tell you how this AI works. AI rate is like we trained a lot of data. For example, we trained 500,000 data, and we train the good data. So we make sure all the data are good, and we make sure another 500 data are bad. So this is a good data, and that is a bad data. We train a model, and we compare the paper with the good ones and the bad ones. So the AI will do the analyze on the submitted item, the submitted content. If this paper is more likely close to the bad ones, it will give you a possibility, like for example, 60% AI generative. And if the content is more likely close to the good ones, it will lower down the AI rate and increase the human rate. So we can only get the possibility. I cannot guarantee the AI is not a conclusion, the AI rate. So we cannot guarantee 100% AI rate paper it's AI generated. It may be written by human. And a zero AI rate, I cannot guarantee as well. So you need a double check. You need to double check that. Only support the human editors to make final decision. Yeah.
Okay, so let me introduce myself. My name is Arda, and I am a librarian on Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta. And as my perspective, if we look at librarianship today, the role has clearly shifted. Librarians are no longer just managing collection. We are increasingly part of the research ecosystem and are expected to contribute to research integrity. This naturally brings librarians closer to these issues, such as publication literacy, academic ethics, and also research quality. From this perspective, paper mills are not simply about individual misconduct. As discussed in the literature and highlighted by scholars, paper mills are a systematic problem. They tend to emerge in environments with high publication pressure, uneven research literacy, and fragmented academic support. In many institutions on developing countries, several risk factors such as non-ideal lecture and student ratio, heavy workloads, publication targets, and limited time for supervision. At the same time, low AI literacy among both student and lecturer can blur the line between responsible use of AI and unethical authorship. There are also structural issues related to incentive and evaluation. Publication rewards are often tied to output rather than processes, while monitoring focuses on what gets published, not how research is developed. On the publishing side, APC-based models may create additional pressure, sometimes weakening peer review. Add to this the prevalence of spam email offering fast-track publication, and the system becomes increasingly vulnerable. At UMY, we do not yet have a formal policy, especially addressing paper mills, but practices resembling ghostwriter or publication brokerage are known reality. This is why we see prevention as more important than enforcement. One institutional response is mandatory general education course on AI literacy and ethics AI course, which all undergraduate students must take. The course aims to build basic AI literacy and ethical awareness. While it is not managed by the library, it provides a strong foundation that librarians can build upon. From the library side, our role is not to police researchers, but to reduce risk. We do this through information literacy programs, access to reputable journals as references, training in academic writing, and citation using reference management tools, and also guidance on journal article publication. Prevention also happens at the final stage. Through the library clearance process for thesis, librarians review reference lists and citation patterns. This allows us to identify obvious inconsistency or AI-generated bibliographies, not as a form of punishment, but as quality assurance. So, rather than positioning librarians as enforcers, we see our contribution as supporting the research process from the beginning to the end. By strengthening publication literacy and ethical awareness early on, we help reduce the conditions that make paper mills appear as an attractive shortcut. Is enough? Thank you very much.
Thank you. So is there any questions? You can also ask questions about paper mills.
For who want to share about AI?
Oh.
So if any so maybe if there is no question, maybe there are some share opinion about AI or paper mills, maybe for sure. Okay.
Sorry.
Silence means no questions. It seems there are no questions. If so, and we have time, okay, maybe you can expand a little bit about
what, AI or paper mills?
Paper mills.
Paper mills?
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody is interested in paper mills.
I was intrigued by the news that paper mills are now writing real papers on behalf of scholars. Is that, did I understand that right? Yeah. So is that a problem?
I think so.
Because so the scholar is subcontracting the writing to a third party. So is that a problem because it's still going out under the scholar's name? It's just a question.
So if you're talking about the problems of paper mills, if they're writing real papers, is it a problem for the research? I don't think there's a problem with the research because the research is real. The only problem is that the authors are not real. So if I'm buying a paper, I'm not the real author. I didn't do any research on that. So somebody else is doing that for me. So so that is the real problem. I think it's the an attribution issue. But if this is a, I don't know, it's just a, I think it's a gray zone. Sorry?
It's an ethical issue.
Oh yeah, it's an ethic issue, but nobody knows. You know, like as a publisher, we don't know that. We cannot trace it back to the laboratory data or anything like that. But this is only for a one type of paper mill. There's a different types of paper mills. For example, they're doing like how I don't know if you how much of you guys are knowing anything about paper mills. So how they generate papers, do you know that? So they will do a design of a paper, like in a medical paper, for example. The writers will read a lot of literatures as a reference of the paper. For example, if the papers are going to do in the RNA field, he is going to read maybe 20 papers, 30 papers in that field, and to design a result first or a conclusion first, and from the conclusion back to the methods. So he's going to have the conclusion at the beginning and then going backwards. Like what we do, the real research, we do the hypothesis and all the way to the conclusion. That while he's doing another way around. But the research, all the laboratory data are real because they are doing the third party. There's a lot of third party laboratories in the market, and you can find those laboratories to generate the data set for you. But only the data set, they do 10 times, and they pick the one which can fit in the conclusion to generate the paper. That's how they do that. All the way, like how we identify the paper mills is only to recognize the written pattern. We don't know how, because we can never redo all the research, or as a publisher, we cannot do everything. So reviewers will only review the qualities or the values of the paper, but sometimes they just they're not really doing a good job. So we need tools, but the tools can only give you some numbers. About AI, how these paper mills are using AI, I think it will be more efficient for the writers to use AI to read paper. So they will generate or summarize a lot of papers. Like a few years ago, they have to read by their own eyes. They're taking a few hours for one reading. Right now, they just a few minutes for one reading to summarize all the things from a paper, and they can just do the design.
Can biometadata be one of the way to discover paper mill papers? That if I trace the data of the author, I can't find anywhere that he or she has been writing best papers. Yet now, he or she has submitted the best paper. Can I trace that and discover maybe this is a paper mill?
Yeah, in some way you can trace it. If the metadata can be shared, I think it's a good way that you can prevent maybe 70% of the paper mills. But there's always another way for paper mills to go around that. So if they're using the real metadata, they can provide all of our medical articles. We are requesting authors to, if they have a metadata, we are requesting them to submit their metadata. But we are not able to analyze all the metadata. So this is a big work. So if there's, I think there's probably we can build credibility, like a mechanism for authors, like for example, this is accountability issue. I think the authors are not taking any like responsibilities for dealing with the paper mills. So if we are sharing data for a lot of publishers, we can share data. If we found this authors have a bad behavior, well, at least we can identify some of them, right? So so if we can share this data all together, and the authors will get a negative mark on that, or some alert indicating these authors have a history of bad behavior, that would prevent some of them. But the business is always there. I think it is another reason is that a lot of authors, they have demands on publishing papers, but they're not capable of generating good science. There's always good students and bad students, and there's always bad scholars, right? So the scholars, they cannot do the right research. How they're gonna do to survive in their institution? So they have to do some other way. They have to find some other way. So this is inevitable if there's a needs, and so there's a selling. It's a tricky.
I was remembering a podcast I listened to about a year ago, and it was about a story of a paper that was published in Nature in 2014, and which was subsequently retracted. And one of the senior co-authors on the paper maintained for some time that the results were right because the data was solid, even though the data had been made up. Because in fact, this senior co-author hadn't been involved in the study at all. He was simply the head of department, and his name was put on the paper. So this issue of, in a sense, who is the author, I think is more endemic than just in paper mills. Because this practice of putting senior people on the paper because they're the head of department has been around for a very long time. And maybe there should be some way of tightening up so that the only authors are the people who were really involved in the study, and not just because they have a position in the hierarchy or something like that. Because it seems that, in this particular case, the head of department, he defended the paper for ages, and it actually had a major policy implication. So it was really seriously, really negative impact in terms of where this research went. But it really strikes me that there's a fundamental problem in the whole way that academic research is being reported, because it's so linked to career advancement, it's so linked to hierarchies, it's so linked to a system rather than actually, people being rewarded for the work they've done, and actually only having their names put on the work that they've done. I mean, I find it, I think the problem seems deeper than just paper mills. So anyway, I just thought I'd make that remark.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Should be solving that problem.
Well,
Because you're right, it is
that's a
endemic
very
to
good question.
academic institutions globally.
My feeling is that the research institutions themselves aren't doing their job. I don't believe that they are involved in making sure that the work that their staff put out is robust.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
But they're the only ones who can be.
And
Research institutions, universities,
I'll
whoever
talk
they
about
are.
the universities. Now, I used to work at the OECD, and in the world, international organisations, the logo of the organisation goes on every output. And in the case of the OECD, the author name is not on the work. Okay. It is published in the name of the OECD, and the author's name maybe appear in the front matter somewhere, but usually it's not even there at all. So it's the institution is putting its reputation on the line every time the new report is put out. And that's true for the World Bank, it's true for the IMF, it's true for the UN, and it's true for NGOs and so on. And yet it's not true for universities. If you think back of the Wakefield paper that launched the anti-vax movement, the institution that Wakefield worked for got away scot-free. Their name was not tarnished.
It's interesting you're saying
And it's
this.
sort of like, well, why not? Because didn't they have a duty of care to make sure that the research that was done at their institution and in the name of their institution was right? And yet,
Well, it's interesting you're saying that because I'm from India, and now and all the bulk of the Indian universities are publicly funded, and now in the Indian ranking framework, we have our own framework on the basis of which you get funding. If you're a government funded or if you're a private one, then people go to the higher ranked one. So now, for the first time, the government has introduced a penalty on institutions for retractions.
interesting.
So they've just done that because the volume is growing from India, but the quality is coming down, and that is impacting not just the reputation of the country, it's impacting the reputation of the country. So they've just introduced that. And suddenly, publishers have become hot property because they need help, right? How are they going to train? How are they going to catch? How are they going to this thing? Because now every institution is feeling the pain. Their rankings are falling as soon as the retractions show up, and so their funding is.
Yeah, the problem is right now there's a lot of institutions, they don't have the penalty for the bad behavior or the misconduct. I think that's the reason. All the penalties will be taken by publishers. We're the ones who take the responsibilities. We're the one whose journal get delisted, and all the bad reputations are us. So I think that this is the reason. And back to the questions back to the fake authors you shared. I think in our system we're identify each authors. That's why we use a lot of services like ORCID, the ORCID, and also the another. It's called a Ringgold. We identify authors, and also it's mandatory for all authors to put their real emails in a system.
The point I was making, this person was real.
Yeah.
I'm sure this person had an ORCID number.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that he was the head of department, and that's why his name was put on it. So he would not have been flagged as, he would have been in ORCID, I'm sure he had a Ringgold and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's
He wasn't involved in the work.
yeah.
He read the paper.
I understood, but I don't have a solution for that. So I think this is a pretty common globally.
Sometimes some authors, especially these young authors, they just look at a person who is very experienced in that field, and then ask him or her to include the name into that paper, so that it can.
Yes.
Because some of the reviewers, once they see a name of Professor so and so and so, they think that this is a fine paper.
Yeah.
So it's another challenge.
No, I understand the drivers for it, but it strikes me as being wrong. But I can't see the publishers being able to police that.
No, we don't.
I can't see how you
We
can
can't.
do that. But I do see that institutions should have a role
It's part of the institutional hierarchy, and what publishers do is that they define who is a lead author, who is a contributing author. And it's quite clear definition of based on your contribution, what is your title. But of course, an institution is not follow. As you're saying, it's mostly the hierarchy, especially for scientific, it's the lab and whoever is the senior most is on the name goes on top. Researchers and other companies.
Yeah, sometimes as a publisher, sometimes when I see a paper with all authors are like the young scholars, and we don't have much confidence on that paper. So once you have one professor or the head of the department in the corresponding position, so we probably would have a little bit more confidence. So in my point of view. It's unfair. It's unfair. But the truth is, we we don't know the author, right? So yes, so yeah. Yes, that would help. Yeah. And also we identify, in our tour, identify the records of all the authors. If the authors have ever had records in retraction, watch or papers, and it will give us alerts. Okay, so we've shared a lot, and apparently a lot of paper mail questions, and yeah. So if you're interested in paper mails a little bit more, then you can always email me. We can chat, and we've been we're the victim too. So I study the paper mails and trying to learn from them, but they're always a little bit a few steps in advance, so ahead of us. So we are always chasing them. And once we have the policy, they have the solution. So, but we have to keep transparent, right? So every policy is out there. So they're going to study your policies and find a way to go around it. So, so it's a unstopping battle. We're still doing that, but right now we're still battling with the normal author, ordinary authors too. So will get more difficult. But good thing is if we have a good tour, we can identify the article. At least we can have some alerts on this paper to have some supports to make final decision. So once the authors are using AI or paper mills are using AI, we have some advices from the tour. Yeah. So thank you all for to join my session. So have a good afternoon, and I guess this is the last, right? Yeah, last session. Okay, so have fun in Thailand, have fun in Bangkok.